Hello, I'm Atu Jamir and you're watching Hornbill TV's Prime at 9. Now news in details. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine is in possession of maps and records obtained from those captured. They are planning to bomb Odessa, he said. Odessa is a historic port city in Ukraine. This is going to be a military crime. This is going to be a historical crime, declared Zelensky. Zelensky made a desperate plea to US senators on Saturday to send more planes to help the country battle Moscow invasion. In Ukraine, what looked like a breakthrough ceasefire to evacuate residents from Mariupol and Volnovakha quickly fell apart Saturday as Ukrainian officials said shelling had halted the work. Vladimir Putin said Moscow would consider any third-party declaration of no-fly zone over Ukraine as participation in the armed conflict. Meanwhile, the US and the UK have issued travel advisories and recommended their citizens to leave Russia. The body of a Naga boy who drowned in a river in Rokri, Uttarakhand on February 27 was found yesterday after 6 days of search operations. The body of the 19-year-old boy who was a class 11 student at 7th-day Adventist Intermediate College in Rokri was found around 9 a.m. yesterday. Later, after post-mortem, the deceased body was sent to Delhi under the initiative of the Nagaland Christian Fellowship and Naga Students Union Dehradun, sources said. The body was then sent to Dimapur by the Naga Student Union Delhi and Sumi Fellowship Delhi. The mortal remains arrived today in Dimapur and was taken to Kifire by a chopper, where the funeral service was held at his native village Nitoi in Kifire district. At least one person died and about 20 others were injured in a grenade attack in a busy market area of Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir on Sunday. Most of the injuries were among civilians besides a policeman. Senior Superintendent of Police Srinagar, Rakesh Balwal, said a man aged 70 years succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. The Central Reserve Police Force said the attack was aimed at security forces and police personnel who were stationed for duty in the Amira Kadal area of the capital. The medical superintendent of nearby SMHS Hospital, Kanwaljit Singh, said they received 21 persons with injuries to the hospital. One among the injured is critical. We don't have the identities of all the injured yet, he said. The policeman in his foot and was discharged from hospital after treatment. Amira Kadal is a commercial area that sees a high footfall of locals. Kishore Prasad, DIG CRPF, said the attack took place at Hari Singh High Street, where a party of security forces remained stationed for duty, adding no Jawan was injured in the incident. There have been some civilian injuries, he said. Russia struck and disabled Ukraine's Staron-Kustyanyan military air base with long-range high-precision weapons, Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday. The Russian armed forces continue to strike the military infrastructure of Ukraine. Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Kunashev said on the morning of March 6, strikes were carried out by high-precision long-range weapons. The Ukrainian Air Force base near Starokostyevazin was disabled. He said a Ukrainian-controlled S-300 missile system had also been destroyed by Russian rocket forces. He said Russia had downed 10 Ukrainian planes and helicopters over the past 24 hours. Some 3,000 Americans have volunteered to fight in Ukraine against Russian forces trying to invade the country, a media report said, citing a representative from Kyiv's embassy in Washington. The representative told VOA News that volunteers have responded to Ukraine's appeal for people to serve in an international battalion that will help resist Russia's invading forces. Many more have stepped forward from other countries, most from other post-Soviet states such as Georgia and Belarus, the official added. The development comes after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on March 3 announced the formation of an international legion of 16,000 foreign volunteers who he said were being asked to join the defense of Ukraine, Europe and the world, VOA News reported. Since Russia began its invasion on February 24, Ukrainian officials have urged foreign volunteers to help fight the war. Western countries are not sending troops to fight on the ground in Ukraine but have been delivering arms to war-torn nation, reports the BBC. More than 11,000 Russian troops have been killed since Moscow launched an invasion of Ukraine on February 24, the Ukrainian Armed Forces General Staff said on Sunday. A day earlier, it put Russian casualties at over 10,000. It did not report Ukrainian casualties. Russian media, meanwhile, cited an unnamed source on Sunday as saying that Ukraine was close to building a plutonium-based dirty bomb nuclear weapon, although the sources cited no evidence. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an invasion of Ukraine on February 24, with the aim to demilitarize and denazify the pro-Western neighbor and prevent Kyiv from joining NATO. The West, dismissing that rationale as a pretext, has responded with harsh sanctions on Moscow and heavy military on other aid to Kyiv. Ukraine's government has said it had no plans to rejoin the nuclear club, having given up its nuclear arms in 1994 following the breakup of the Soviet Union. Shortly before the invasion, Putin said in a grievance-filled speech that Ukraine was using Soviet know-how to create its own nuclear weapons and that this was tantamount to preparation for an attack on Russia. He cited no evidence for his claim. 5 Jawans of the Border Security Force were killed in a firing opened by a constable with his duty weapon in Amritsar's CASA headquarters on Sunday, police said. The incident took place at around 10:15 am when the accused was present in a barrack of the headquarters situated on the Amritsar-Atari road. Senior Superintendent of Police, SSP Amritsar Rural Deepak Hilori, has confirmed that they have got the information of 5 casualties from the BSF officials. BSF officials said Constable Setepa Eski of B. Koi 144 Battalion started firing on his fellow members in the GF and the ORS barracks of the CASA headquarters. During the firing, 6 Jawans were critically injured and rushed to a private hospital at Amritsar Airport Road. 5 of the injured were declared dead at around 11 am.
एक प्रेस है नोट इशू कर चुके हैं और आप उसको देख लें और उसको दैट इज द ऑल वी हैव टू से। कैजुअलिटी जो है सिर्फ 5 की डेथ हुई है, ठीक है, और एक अभी हॉस्पिटलाइज्ड हैं और उनको अभी शिफ्ट किया गया दूसरे हॉस्पिटल। एक ने शूट किया है और उसको जो शूट किया है उसको भी लगी है और जो है से बाकी 5 थोड़ा इंसिडेंट है और जो है से एक कांस्टेबल वो जो ऐसे उसने फायर किया है, उसके 5 कलीग से इंजोर्ड हुए हैं जिसमें से एक अभी ठीक है, उनका कंडीशन अब स्टेबल है और बाकी हम लोग अभी इंक्वायरी कर रहे हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं। हम लोग इंक्वायरी कर रहे हैं, पुलिस को बुलाया है, पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है। नहीं ड्यूटी ना आपसी झगड़ा।
The Indian Embassy in Kyiv has asked all the Indian nationals who are still in Ukraine to fill up an online form on an urgent basis. As the situation in the war-torn country continues to deteriorate, the Embassy of India in Kyiv on Sunday in a new advisory said all Indian nationals who still remain in Ukraine are requested to fill up the details contained in the attached Google form and on an urgent basis. The government is continuing its Operation Ganga on war footing to bring back Indian students from different cities in Ukraine via Poland, Romania, Hungary borders. Meanwhile, the Indian Embassy in Hungary, in an important announcement, said Embassy of India begins its last leg of Operation Ganga flights today. All those students staying in their own accommodation are requested to reach Hungary's city, Budapest. As many as 2,135 Indians have been brought back today from war-torn Ukraine after crossing into neighboring countries via land routes and being flown home under Operation Ganga, the Civil Aviation Ministry said. Tomorrow, 8 flights, 5 from Hungary and 3 from Romania, are expected to bring back over 1,500 Indians. According to the ministry's statement, 11 flights landed in India during the day. 9 landed in Delhi and 2 in Mumbai. 6 of these arrived from Hungarian capital Budapest, 2 from Romania's capital Bucharest, 2 from Rzeszów in Poland and 1 from Kosice in Slovakia. Operation Ganga was started on February 22nd with the mission to evacuate stranded Indians from the East European nation following its invasion by Russia. Including those on board today's flight, as many as 15,900 Indians have so far been evacuated from Ukraine via Slovakia, Romania, Hungary, Moldova and Poland under Operation Ganga. Of these, 66 flights airlifted a total of 13,852 Indians from Ukraine. In an endeavour to provide world-class infrastructure for urban mobility, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Pune Metro Rail project on Sunday. The foundation stone of the metro project, aimed at providing world-class infrastructure for urban mobility in Pune, was also laid by the Prime Minister on December 24, 2016. The project is being built at a total cost of more than 11,400 crore. Pune Metro is the first project in the country to have aluminium body coaches indigenously manufactured under the Make in India initiative. Modi also unveiled the statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj at the premises of Pune Municipal Corporation.
इस समय देश आजादी के 75 वर्ष निमित्त आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है। आज पुणे के विकास से जुड़े अनेक अन्य प्रकल्पों का उद्घाटन और शिलान्यास भी हुआ है। ये मेरा सौभाग्य है कि पुणे मेट्रो के शिलान्यास के लिए आपने मुझे बुलाया था और अब लोकार्पण का भी आपने मुझे अवसर दिया है। ये घटना इसलिए महत्वपूर्ण है कि इसमें ये संदेश भी है कि समय पर योजनाओं का पूरा किया जा सकता है।
An expert panel of India's Central Drug Authority has recommended permission for conducting a phase 3 clinical trial of COVID vaccine, Covovax, as a booster dose in adults, official sources said on Sunday. The Drugs Controller General of India, DCGI, has already approved Covovax for restricted use in emergency situations in adults on December 28. It is yet to be included in the country's inoculation program. The Subject Expert Committee on COVID-19 of the Central Drug Standard Control Organization had on Friday recommended giving permission for conducting a phase 3 clinical trial of the single-dose COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik Light as a booster dose. In February, Director, Government and Regulatory Affairs at Serum Institute of India, Prakash Kumar Singh, had sought from DCGI not to conduct a phase 3 observer-blind, randomized controlled study to evaluate the safety and immunogenicity of Covovax as a booster dose in adults who were vaccinated with COVID Shield or Covaxin at least 3 months ago, an official source had said. Singh had stated many countries have already started administering booster doses to the citizens considering the uncertainties of COVID-19 pandemic. The Asukami Old Village celebrated 200 years of its existence bicentennial jubilee under the theme Honoring the Past, Envisioning the Future today at the village church. Speaking at the program, Advisor for School Education K.T. Sukhalu said, Sumi are labelled as warriors and that in this contemporary era, they should now be the warriors in education. Lauding the Asukami village for its advancement in the field of education, the advisor called upon the villagers to be a torchbearer in Zeniboto, creating opportunities for the educated, unemployed youths. He also urged the students to never forget their roots. Lamenting on the poor performance and enrollment in government schools, Sukalu appealed to villagers to extend support and uplift the schools. He also pointed out that only 92 languages teachers are there in Nagaland. Therefore, he said, to preserve Naga culture, customs and languages, the government is working on creating jobs for language teachers. Pastor Asukami BC Benito Jimo spoke on the Jubilee theme, honoring the past and visioning the future.
I'm prepared to back to me. Kill she I can you. I can you back in kill you to like you. Jubilee for she like it was on. Azumi no one if I can know. Allow she no Dolona. Like in a lucky kill clear, like in a lucky clear, like in a lucky state clear. Tishiwawaya apo aina ipo allow some money and similar no law jukugo allow money giving up to shine.
너는 이게 됐다 그로 이시로 힘이 죽고지나 봐요. 모세나 아시아칼라기 좀 쉽지 좀 나는 거는 İsrail'in posası, İjipt'lığını yıkıpsı, Pakistan aşıkaşıpsı, Allah'ın bağlı, nıgı kanan yerli olmaya, evdeki atavurdaki tokatımsı itivi, baya Allah'sası conversation, gıpsakle, agine nefiplepsi, gıpsaklepçe, evdeki Allah'sası gıpsakçı gibi, İbobo itiliyatını dahi İsrail'in bağlı atayıbı besi dikişen. İki ubana Türkiye, ampenhopti dolu, Allah'ın saçıkı, Kişi sarıgena, akoto şivi, Allah'ın lagoto şikil tulatina lagi, asaya kala, non sası çekela, Allah'ın kişi, non lava çıkıp bakımıza bunlaskena, ibo kumsız tulatina gini, Allah'ın likena, ni havluge, ni lakımsı besi, bazısı bana ni lava şükür, kiba günkü kilena, ni kiba şükür, şüküzlo, dina gıtı. Allah'ın dimpasa Allah'ın pasa saçı şıkı bakılo acı bir uşağı belenin şoku kaka karbenyo enenin şoku kutsun yürümlo kımgatı benyo ado hipopo besi masay
Indian Red Cross Society MON, headed by N. Wangshad, District Honorary Secretary and Executive Member, organized a medical camp seminar on women and child healthcare at 10 Loisho and surrounding villages in Indo-Myanmar border. Nearly 800 patients benefited from the medical camp.
nursing as a they are needed by they are the jubilee when now by the nurse that Ganga na really era ko Ganga important something na the government Ganga sa nang hindi dapat na kasi free na pila nang tema ni kai dia kasi na nang dawan ko din niya sa sila
Indian Home Minister Amit Shah on March 6 attended the 53rd Raising Day ceremony of Central Industrial Security Force CISF in Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh. While addressing the ceremony, Amit Shah lauded CISF's efforts during time of pandemic and evacuation of Indians from Ukraine.
कोविड महामारी के दौरान भी वंदे मातरम कार्यक्रम में जब दुनिया भर से भारतीय वापिस आ रहे थे उस वक्त हर एयरपोर्ट पर सीआईएफएस का जवान बड़ी विनम्रता के साथ, विनय के साथ, अच्छे व्यवहार के साथ वापिस आ रहे अपने ही देश के भाइयों बहनों का स्वागत भी करता था, रिस्क भी उठाता था, संक्रमित हुआ और उसने अपनी जान भी गंवाई।
COVID-19 cases in India witnessed a dip as the country logged 5,476 new infections in the last 24 hours. Union Health and ministry informed on Sunday. With this, the active COVID cases stands at 59,442, taking the weekly positivity rate to 0.77% and the daily positivity rate to 0.60%. Ministry in a press release informed that the last 24 hours saw 9,754 recoveries from the virus and 158 COVID deaths. Addressing a press conference in Delhi, Bharatiya Janata Party Chief Jagat Prakash Nada expressed his confidence for the victory in the upcoming assembly elections. We follow COVID protocols and try to do the good effective poll campaigning. I want to thank the public for voting in favor of the BJP. Public of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Goa and Manipur have decided to bring back our government with a majority, Nada added.
हम पांचों राज्यों के जनता को धन्यवाद भी देना चाहते हैं। विशेष रूप से उनको इसलिए धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं कि उन्होंने कोरोना के प्रोटोकॉल्स को भी फॉलो किया। चुनाव के मुद्दों को लेकर के फिर चाहे उत्तर प्रदेश हो, फिर चाहे वो मणिपुर हो, गोवा हो, उत्तराखंड हो, इन चारों राज्यों में जहां हम सरकार में थे, वहां चारों राज्यों में अच्छी मेजॉरिटी के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी को इन प्रदेशों की जनता ने भेजने का निर्णय किया है।
That's all we have for now. Keep watching HornbillTV.